Democratic Arizona Senator Mark Kelly now. Senator, welcome to you and thanks for coming on. Obviously, this is a big day and a big night. So for a lot of what we have seen leading up to this, expectations are that the shifting policy positions of the vice president will likely be a focus on that stage tonight. What can you tell us, Senator, about how she is preparing for that?
Well, Sandra, thank you for having me on. You know, my expectation is that she's going to outline a vision for the future of this country that's going to focus on families and everyday Americans and what our country should look like going forward. All I've seen from Donald Trump is the past. He spent 4 years in the White House where he has shredded our alliances, where he's given a big, giant tax cut for billionaires and the wealthiest corporations, and where he's focused on taking away women's health care rights. So I expect to see more of that from Donald Trump, and from Kamala Harris, I expect to see a positive future for this country.
So giving you the opportunity to look forward, as you said, she will do that on the stage tonight. What can you tell us about some of those shifting policy positions? We've seen some, you can call them flip-flops or whatever you will, on the border. And the possibility of a border wall promised to American voters who are frustrated with what they have seen at the southern border. You obviously have the fracking issue she spoke to in Pennsylvania. Is she now a pro-fracking candidate? How will these policies be more detailed on that stage for voters tonight?
Well, I've worked with Vice President Harris on border issues. We had a bipartisan border security bill that we worked out with Republicans, including one of the more conservative Republicans in the United States Senate, who negotiated this with Democrats and negotiated it with the White House, including with the vice president. So we had a deal. And Kamala Harris has indicated that given the opportunity, she would have signed that piece of legislation. But unfortunately, Donald Trump, he wanted this for the campaign. He was very clear about that he didn't want this issue solved. And we've seen this from Republicans before, where they would rather talk about this issue especially, talk about this issue instead of trying to solve the issue. And, you know, this was going to do some really positive things, and that's why the Border Patrol Union has endorsed this legislation. It was going to provide more money for Border Patrol agents, so more pay, money to hire more Border Patrol agents, more money to buy fentanyl detection machines at our ports of entry. And, Senator, when you think about that for a second, that means we have fewer fentanyl detection machines at the border right now. And that means more Americans die of fentanyl overdoses, and that's because Donald Trump wouldn't allow Republicans to support this legislation.
Well, there are many who expect this to be a big focus on that stage tonight, Senator, and rightly so. And we have seen the GOP hitting Harris's record on the border and illegal immigration. And it comes as CNN is highlighting a 2019 questionnaire revealing her support for taxpayer-funded gender transition surgeries for detained migrants and federal prisoners, decriminalizing drug possession, and cuts to ICE. What is your reaction to that?
Well, the folks I represent in Arizona are not talking about that. She's not talking about that. This is not an issue in the campaign. What is an issue is how the vice president is focused on reducing the costs for families, groceries, fuel costs, prescription drugs. You think about what she has done for seniors and their prescription drug prices. Out-of-pocket expenses right now are around $3,000 a year. That number is going to go to $2,000 here pretty soon. Donald Trump in his Project 2025, I mean, his plan is to eliminate that program, which would raise the cost of seniors' prescription drugs. So I think what is going to happen tonight is this is going to be a debate about the issues, about a candidate who wants to lead our country into the future, and about the former president who just wants to drag us back into the past.
Got it. And he has distanced himself from the Project 2025, disavowed it even, but we do see that it is frequently mentioned in Kamala Harris's new policy portion of her campaign website. Just want to be clear on that. As far as the scripted nature of her campaign so far, would it be your recommendation she come off of that a little bit? Are we going to see a change in strategy in the weeks leading up to the election?
Well, a couple of weeks ago, I was with the Vice President and Governor Walz in my state, in Arizona, in a stadium with 15,000 people, and I've never seen so much excitement at a political rally anywhere. I mean, it was about what the convention felt like. It was palpable, the amount of excitement for her as a candidate, as a future president. I've never seen that anywhere else, and she's talking to the American people, and you know, I think this is working, and that's why she's going to win the state of Arizona, and I expect her to be the next president.
Just to be clear, what's working?
Well, getting out there and speaking to the American people directly. 15,000 people in an arena, speaking to them and traveling from state to state, even beyond the battleground states. She's getting across the country. She's meeting people where they live and work, big venues, small venues, businesses, and talking to them directly about the issues that they care about, the things that affect them every single day.
Yeah. Okay. So meanwhile, Senator Bernie Sanders was asked about Harris's recent change in policy or flip-flops, however you want to call it. Here's what he had to say, and I'll get your reaction.
Do you think that she is abandoning her progressive ideals?
No, I don't think she's abandoning her ideals. I think she's trying to be pragmatic and doing what she thinks is right in order to win the election. Her views are not mine, but I do consider her progressive.
Do you agree with that? And agree with him, Senator?
Well, do I agree with Bernie Sanders? You know, I served with Bernie, you know, in the United States Senate. I don't agree with him on this. What I know is I've known Kamala Harris for years. She's an experienced prosecutor, attorney general, senator, vice president, and she's been working very hard for the American people. And I am convinced that she's got a clear vision for the future of this country, where I don't think this country can handle another 4 years of Donald Trump. Got
it. We'll leave it there. Before you go, can you just give us a sense of how she's feeling heading into tonight?
Well, I imagine she's feeling pretty good. You know, I know she hasn't met the former president before, but she's certainly watched him do this a number of times, and I imagine, you know, there's a good amount of confidence. Though you gotta consider that he's been running for president for 10 years.
All right, and he's been out there a lot too, taking questions, which is, you know, it'll be interesting. Everybody's going to be watching, I'm sure. Thank you so much, Senator. Really appreciate you coming on.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.